Welcome to Insightful Gaming. Today, we will be exploring an updated Eye of Another World build that has been dominating the game since the release of Lightfall. With this exotic, you can spam abilities and supers, and have infinite devour keep you healed up in battles. And that's not all. We have insane seasonal mods that make this build even stronger, practically making you a walking, talking, Nova-throwing god. If you enjoyed this build and found it helpful, please don't forget to like the video, leave a comment below, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting builds and gaming content. Now let's dive into the overall gameplay loop and rotation of this Void Warlock build. This build synergizes perfectly with the Cerebral Uplink Abyssal Extractor's exotic perk from the Eye of Another World armor. This perk highlights priority targets and improves the regeneration speed of your grenade, melee, and rift abilities. It also provides a small benefit to the airborne effectiveness stat of all weapons, and highlights enemies below 50% HP with a red outline. Even invisible enemies that meet these conditions will be highlighted. Additionally, this exotic grants a 50% additional base grenade, melee, and class regeneration rate. When you toss a grenade, you will weaken enemies, and defeating weakened enemies with a precision final blow will create an orb of power and a void breach, granting you even more ability, grenade, and melee energy. So, keep using your grenades, weaken your enemies, and defeat them with precision shots to keep generating orbs of power and void breaches. This build can be paired really well with insane armor mods and fragments for even more damage. It's one of the best Void Warlock builds out there, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. In between grenade throws, use your primary Void weapon to keep taking down enemies. Kills with Void weapons will also generate orbs of power that give you even more energy to keep using your abilities. And don't forget about Devour. It will keep you healed up and constantly give you grenade energy to keep throwing those vortex grenades. This build makes you a walking, talking, super Nova-throwing god. So make sure you're using your abilities on cooldown and keep the cycle going. It's easy, fluid, and powerful. It offers so much flexibility and power that it's one of the best builds in the game. Thanks to the exotic helmet and its perk, we can spam abilities and super, stay alive during tough battles, and clear out adds and champions with ease. With this build, you can take on any content in Destiny with confidence. However, I want to be clear that this build isn't foolproof, and it may not work for everyone's playstyle. It's always important to experiment with different builds and mods to find what works best for you. Nonetheless, this build offers a lot of potential, and I hope you find it useful in your Destiny 2 journey. And as always, I'm open to feedback and suggestions to improve this build, so feel free to leave a comment below. Let's talk about the abilities we have chosen for this build. We carefully pick each one to match our playstyle and maximize our effectiveness in combat. First up is Cataclysm. With this ultimate, we can fire a huge Nova Bomb that tracks enemies and creates miniature black holes when it explodes. It's perfect for wiping out groups of enemies or taking down tougher foes. Our grenade of choice is the Vortex Grenade, which creates a field of damaging energy that expands. It's great for area denial and can trap enemies or cut off choke points. Plus, with our aspect, we get our grenade back very quickly, making it even more powerful and pulling enemies together for us to unleash our other abilities. Plus, this also synergizes really well with our exotic helmet. Next up, we're using Healing Rift for our class ability. It creates a circle of healing energy that quickly restores our health and shields. For mobility, we have Burst Glide, the Voidwalker's movement ability. It lets us launch ourselves through the air, cover large distances, and gain additional maneuverability. And for melee, we're using Pocket Singularity, which creates a miniature black hole that draws in enemies and explodes when it makes contact. It's perfect for taking out groups of weaker enemies or setting up larger targets for our other abilities. Together, these abilities work seamlessly and create a devastating combination that makes us a force to be reckoned with in any scenario. Moving on to the aspects that enhance our Eye of Another World build, we have Child of the Old Gods. We're utilizing this aspect for 2 fragment slots, and it synergizes incredibly well with our build. When we activate our Rift, it creates a Void Soul that damages our target, weakening them. As the target is drained, we receive grenade and melee energy when we're running Healing Rift. This aspect further enhances our grenade cooldowns, allowing us to throw grenades non-stop. Next up, we have Feed the Void, which activates Devour when we defeat a target with a Void ability. Final blows while Devour is active restore health and extend Devour, plus we also get grenade energy, which is essential for this build. With these aspects, we have multiple ways to generate grenade energy, weaken enemies, and stay alive in the toughest battles. Moving on to our fragments, we're using Echo of Undermining, which weakens targets with our grenades. This is fantastic because our grenades are already powerful, and this just makes them even deadlier. We can unleash devastating blows on enemies and watch them crumble. Next, we have Echo of Remnants, which increases the duration of our Vortex grenade. Additionally, we're using Echo of Harvest, which creates an orb of power and void breach when we defeat weakened targets with precision final blows. Since our grenades are already weakening targets, this fragment further enhances our ability to generate orbs and void breaches. Finally, we have Echo of Explosion, which causes our targets to explode when we kill them with void abilities. However, this is a flex spot that can be swapped with any other mod of your choice. All of these fragments synergize perfectly with our build, which revolves around the strategic use of grenades to dominate the battlefield. Now, let's talk about our armor mods. We're running one Ashes to Assets mods, which grant us bonus super energy every time we get grenade kills. And in this build, we're getting grenade kills all the time thanks to our powerful Vortex grenades. Next, we're using 2 Harmonic Siphon, which drops 2 Orb of Power upon rapid void weapon final blows. This is perfect for generating orbs of power quickly and efficiently. Moving on to our gloves, we're running 2 Firepower mod, which creates an orb of power upon grenade final blows. Plus, we're using 1 Grenade Kickstart mod, which automatically gives us grenade energy when it runs out. This consumes one of our armor charge buffs, but don't worry, we're generating a lot of armor charges in this build. With these Grenade Kickstart mods and Eye of Another World's exotic perk, we can get our grenades back in just a second or two after using them. On our chest, we have 2 charged up mods, which increase the number of stacks of armor charge we can carry by 1 each. This means we can carry 2 extra stacks of armor charge in total. Moving down to our boots, we're using 1 Innervation mod, which reduces grenade cooldown after we pick up an orb of power. Plus, we have stacks on stacks, which grants us an additional armor charge stack when we pick up an orb of power. With this, we get 2 stacks of armor charge when we pick up an orb of power. Next, we're using Insulation, which reduces ability cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power. And trust me, we're generating a lot of orbs of power. Finally, on our Warlock Bond, we're using 1 Bomber mod, which reduces your grenade cooldown when you use your class ability. We are also using 2 Distribution mods, which reduce all ability cooldowns when using your ability near targets. With all of these mods, we're reinforcing our build and making it even stronger, giving us more grenades and class ability to use back-to-back in battles. Overall, this build is a highly effective and well-rounded option for dealing with various types of enemies and activities in Destiny 2. With the ability to spam grenades, melee attacks, and supers, while also receiving constant health and damage reduction, this build provides excellent survivability and damage output. Whether you're running solo content, team activities, or even high-level endgame content, this build is sure to give you the edge you need to come out on top. Let's talk about seasonal mods. They can make a real difference in your build, especially when you're taking on tough content like Grandmaster Nightfalls or the new Lightfall raid. Champion mods are especially important because they help you take down the toughest enemies in the game. For the first row, it really depends on your preference and weapon choice. If you're rocking a submachine gun, the Submachine Overload mod is perfect. If you're into scout rifles, the Unstoppable Scout Rifle mod is the way to go. And if you're using bows, the Overlord mod is ideal. Plus, if you're using the Wish Ender, you can also get anti-barrier capability that comes with the Wish Ender. And don't forget the anti-barrier pulse rifle and sidearm mod for taking down barrier champions. But here's the thing, your subclass can also give you the power to defeat champions. For example, if you're using the Arc subclass, you can stun unstoppable champions with the blind or blinding aspects. If you're using solar, ignition damage will stun them. And if you're using stasis, shatter damage will stun them. And if you're using the Strand subclass, the suspend aspect will suspend unstoppable champions, which also stuns them. Best of all, these mods are passive and don't require any slotting. Let's now shift our focus to the second row of seasonal mods. Here we have the Multi-Siphon mod, which combines the effects of the Strand's Solar and Void Siphon mods in your helmet. This is particularly useful if you use different energy weapons and want to generate orbs with both types of weapons. Moving on to the next 4 mods, they reduce the energy costs of your armor mods that affect your Solar, Strand, Void weapons, and grenades. For instance, with the Solar Surge mod, you can cut the energy cost of each mod from 3 to 1, which is super effective. The third row, the first 4 mods do not benefit this build. However, let's talk about the most crucial mod in the third row, which is Volatile Flow. This mod provides a significant boost to your Void weapons. Whenever you pick up an Orb of Power, your Void weapons are granted volatile rounds, which significantly enhances your damage output and allows you to take down enemies more efficiently. This is precisely why we didn't choose the fragment that gives us volatile rounds on grenade kills, as this mod is far more effective. Moving on to the fourth row, the most essential mod for our Void build is Bricks from Beyond. This mod eliminates the need to run a heavy ammo finder mod, as it grants heavy ammo for you and your allies every time you kill powerful combatants with a void weapon. This means that you'll have unlimited heavy ammo and won't know what to do with it all. Additionally, Allied Unraveling is unique and could be beneficial to this build, as it gives you unraveling rounds when you get rapid final blows with a strand weapon. You could run a strand weapon as your primary and get the unraveling rounds buff on kills, in addition to the already powerful volatile rounds buff that you could get from special void weapon. These mods could work together to stack on all weapons, making the build even more powerful, so be sure to give it a try and let me know if they can stack. Last but not least, in the 5th row, we are using Void Weapon Channeling, which grants a temporary boost to void weapon damage after defeating a target with a fully charged void ability. The damage bonus increases as the number of fully charged void abilities increases. This mod is essential for maximizing damage output with void weapons. As for the other mods in this row, they are all worth obtaining eventually to further enhance and customize your build. In conclusion, this void build is a force to be reckoned with, perfect for any activity in Destiny. Our selected abilities, aspects, fragments, and armor mods work seamlessly together to create a devastating combination that will leave enemies in its wake. If you enjoyed this build and found it helpful, please don't forget to like the video, leave a comment below, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting builds and gaming content. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your week.